Hello and welcome to Nicole Reacts, where I, Nicole, react to online marketing gurus that I find on the internet. My qualifications for snark and commentary that I've owned a marketing company for 15 years. So when these gurus talk about marketing, I definitely have something to say about it through my knowledge and experience. So today I'm coming at you from my co-working space in Maine. I didn't feel like calling everything in the conference room to record, so I'm just sitting in the space right now. And I regularly travel to meet with clients. So that's what I'm doing this week. And I'm going to a conference after that. So I meant to record this intro before I left, but I just ran out of time. So I recorded for like 2.5 hours that Neil Patel video, and I was trying to cut it in half at what I thought was the natural halfway point. And I almost did it right, which is that this second part is mainly him answering questions for the audience. So if you want to see part one, I'll link it in the cards and I'll link it in the description. But I did want to keep this one part in there because I sort of cut it off at the slightly wrong location. So in the part one, he was talking on stage about using testimonials for your products. And he made some like offhanded joke about like using Dr. Oz or Oprah. And so he's going to joke around with someone in the audience who's actually doing that. So basically, let's laugh about fraud. And then the other thing I want to mention is that there's been sound issues in the last few videos. Finally found out what the problem is. Hi, it's me. I'm the problem. It's me. And it was on my computer. I fixed it. So going forward, there should be no more sound blips. So thanks for your patience on that. All right, here's part two.
Oprah did not give you a review. Dr. Oz did not say you have the most amazing medical product that'll cause you to lose 50 pounds in 1 month.
None of us would believe Dr. Oz anyway at this point. This was recorded 4 years ago, so let's keep that in mind. But since then, a lot has happened.
Right? So use realistic testimonials, make it believable. Some of you guys are laughing. I'm like, are you doing it? Don't tell me you are using Dr. Oz. You really are.
So he's laughing at someone using fake testimonials. Yeah, don't fake your freaking testimonials.
You live in the US? You're going to get your ass sued.
Yeah, no shit.
What's your name? Oh, why are you saying your name? You shouldn't be saying your name. I hope Rob's really nice. What's your last name, Rob? Did you just say Patel? You're not brown. You look like a white dude. But yeah, don't do what Rob Patel does. Don't put Dr. Oz in your webinar. And just because it's not indexable, Dr. Oz isn't going to see it.
And just because it's technically legal to do some of these manipulation tactics doesn't mean you should do them.
So that doesn't mean you should do it. But you can make legitimate money this way. I have so many friends that are doing this.
You can also make illegitimate money doing this also. That's the sort of implication here.
And they're crushing it. You know what their number one problem is? They're like, we're selling too many. I got to hire support staff to answer their questions.
You're talking to an audience of people who probably doesn't make $100,000 a month. And so you saying like, oh, their biggest problem is that they just sell too much. Like, cry me a river, rich people.
Shit
Come
sucks.
on.
I'm like, what do you mean it sucks? You just netted $1 million a month for the last 12 months. Like, yeah.
Yeah, I think these people need to be freaking humbled. Like, go in like a homeless shelter for a day or something. And like, if you're complaining that like you need to hire staff to help you because you're making too much money and selling too many products, like, humble your fucking self.
Yeah, now I got to manage people. I'm getting too many support complaints. I was like, who gives a shit? You made $1 million a month.
I agree with Neil here.
But test this out. Now let's get into some Q&A. Anything you have to ask, whether it's SEO, this could be this, how to make money on digital product. I can pretty much.
Okay, well, I've actually got a couple of questions myself for you, Neil.
All right.
And then we'll open it up to the audience after that.
Sounds good.
So I think the first one of the really big surprising points for me, I've done a fair number of products myself, but really never any product under 1K. Is there any circumstance where you would say that doing a product at a lower price point is actually something that's a good idea? Or is it just flat out, no, never do it?
Flat out, no, because it's so easy to arbitrage traffic.
Right.
Like just right now, I talked to all of you guys. I talked to you guys just for 20 minutes and some change. And now we have a countdown clock, right? So, or 30 minutes technically. But when we talk for 30 minutes, do you guys have a sense that you've got to know me a bit? Yeah? Have we bonded a bit? I know Rob Patel and I I have, because we've bonded. Now, if I made you a pitch, if I told you I can take all your affiliate landing pages and some of my stuff, right? So I not just showed you guys some information, but I showed you guys, assuming you actually are ranked number 1 and 2 for the keyword online marketing in the US without buying links or doing anything manipulative. Like, I have legitimate traffic, right? I rank.
Yeah, but you started in 2001. It's like starting the race 10 seconds ahead of everybody, and people are trying to catch up. If your site is older than the other sites, so some of this is entering the market early, which is what Neil Patel did. I'm not saying he doesn't know what he's talking about. I'm saying a big part of why he's ranked number 1 is that he has a website that is older, a website with a lot of content on it, and a website with a lot of backlinks.
And that's why you say better to take that traffic and arbitrage that to high product numbers.
When you're
high
selling
price.
something emotional,
Yeah.
it doesn't matter. Like, I tested selling it for $500, $1,000, $200. I just kept making more money when I started charging more. Once I started charging 2,000, 3,000, then it started dipping. But almost everyone is seeing the same thing. It just doesn't make sense to sell under $1,000 because that's what everyone else is doing, and it converts really well.
Yeah, to be fair, you have more balls than me. Every time
He has more balls than a lot of people, but I don't know if that's a compliment.
I've started raising prices on info products, my nerve has broken before the CVR started dropping. So
yeah.
Okay, so second question. I know you're very big on the webinars, and I know it's a very popular way of selling info products. What about if you are, unlike either of us, scared of public speaking? If you really, really don't want to do a live public speaking thing with an audience, how would you deal with that?
Yeah, this is a good question. I feel like the thing with video is that it's a way for you to relate to people and connect with them. And it would be hard to do it without that. I guess you could do an audio kind of recording with slides. Maybe if you just said a brief hello at the beginning on camera, and then if you wanted to kind of take yourself off camera to present the information, I think that might be okay. But I think it would be hard to like not have any kind of video component whatsoever.
All right, how many of you guys are public facing and like public speaking? Wow, most of you don't. How many of you guys like outsourcing labor for pennies on the dollar? Like, pretty much everyone. Go find someone to be your voice.
Yep. Pennies on the dollar. Exploit other people's labor.
Yeah.
And brag about
you guys
it.
aren't public, right? I know Rob Patel is. He's using Dr. Oz. So if you don't want to be public, you don't have to. Just go find someone and go pay them to be your voiceover. You can find someone on Fiverr. Instead of $5, pay them $500. They'll be your voice person. That's probably overpaying, but you get the point.
I don't think it's overpaying. So you want someone to learn enough to deliver a webinar well in a voice similar to yours, and you want to pay them $500 for that or less. I don't know. I think it's going to be more than that. I'll be honest. But
yeah, then there's you use voices.
I just pulled some data for a presentation I'm doing, and for people to edit a 60-second stock video right now on Fiverr, they're charging between $30 and $100 per video, depending on if they're doing scripting or not. And that's using basically stock footage and themselves being on camera. So themselves being on camera is more that $100 level. Stock footage with music is the $30 level. So, and that's a 60-second video. So an hour-long webinar, that's going to cost a lot more than $500 in my opinion.
.com and stuff like that as well. Get professional actors.
Yeah,
that works pretty well. Cool. Okay.
But what happens if this actor, like, they do the initial webinar and then you're like, okay, I want to do another product, and then they're not available? Like, you've kind of pretended that this person is you or works for your company. So how are you gonna deal with that if they, move on or whatever?
So in terms of using emotion to drive the sales and drive the traffic,
yeah, gross.
Obviously, a lot of us will immediately think fear, because that's how an awful lot of affiliate marketing works.
Yeah, well, fear that the price is going to get higher and you have to buy it within the hour of seeing the webinar. Like, you're creating urgency, which is at least fear adjacent. I think we can agree.
Virus,
like Agora. Have you guys seen Agora Financial?
I haven't actually, no.
And then have you guys ever seen Agora? The company that makes over $400 million a year, saying that world is going to come to an end. You guys haven't heard of Agora? One of the biggest affiliates out there.
Oh, you haven't heard of this thing that's really big? Huh. I thought you guys were smarter than that.
They stay in the background because they don't want people knowing who they are. Hence, you guys haven't heard of them.
Okay, this is weird. All right. So you kind of like negged us for not hearing of them, and then you tell me that I wasn't supposed to have heard of them.
But
That
like in
was
the US, there's a Republican and a Democrat that could be a president, right? Or independent. They always want a Democrat because when there's a Democrat in office, they found that more people feel that the world is more likely to come to an end and they make a killing. Like, you think people selling flashlights make a killing? They make more money than all that shit. Just saying, like, there could be a zombie attack, like, or shit's coming to an end. Buy more gold or buy this, and here's how to survive, like, when the world comes to an end, and etc. They're selling all the supplies. But they're like the first people to really revolutionize the quote unquote survival space. And they're the biggest in the space as well. It's just no one ever knows their real corporate name.
they sound gross. They're preying on people's insecurities of the uncertainty of the world. Gross.
So would you say that fear is the most powerful selling emotion, or would
It
you say?
is, or anything that is
Adjacent to it.
like, people can sympathize too. Like, if you've made mistakes and you're just upfront with people. So for example, when I started out in marketing, I used to think traffic's everything, and I built some sites and I generated a lot of traffic. But guess how much income I made? Zero. I was a little kid. I thought traffic was everything. But if you can't convert those visitors into customers, you guys know this as affiliates, you can get 1 million clicks, but if no one buys, it's useless.
I guess unless you're monetizing your content, some company paid to have, a sponsored post on your site, right? Or whether you're embedding ads. I mean, those are two ways that traffic can make money. So I don't know why traffic is not important. I think it can be pretty important if you're using at least those two monetization strategies.
But I didn't know that. And when I tell people, like, I made this mistake and that's why I lost money in my first few businesses, but luckily I don't want other people making the same mistake, and I've learned from it and I want to teach you guys it. And if I can just save some people from making the same mistake as me, I'll be happy.
So he does two things here. First of all, he clarifies that he made this mistake when he was young and in high school. And the second is he does what all the gurus do, which is to say, I was where you are, and now I have arrived. Like, I'm, if I can help even one person, like, so positioning yourself as the fact that you're better than the people listening subtly. I mean, he's not directly doing this. It's very subtle, but all the gurus do this, right? Like, listen to me. I've arrived. I know exactly what I'm doing. Total guru tactic here.
Like, it's a good emotional appeal that people can relate to. They're like, oh, that's nice. Let me buy.
So it's partially you're making yourself vulnerable there,
Yes.
and by making yourself vulnerable, you build trust.
But it's also true too, right?
Yeah.
Like, that is the biggest mistake I've made in my career, in which for the first 5 years of my business, I focused purely on traffic and I made very little money because of it.
Okay.
Is it because your content sucked?
Have you
Just wondering.
tried programmatic email lists? There's not, this is new big thing, stuff like Drip, that's allowing you to automatically segment and send out different email lists, different emails, different people, depending on what they've done with your product.
Yeah.
Is it?
So Drip is, I think this is the AI marketing tool, and well, one of them. I'm not saying there's only one, but yeah, so like you can set rules like in the AI where like maybe people open the first two emails, but they haven't opened any or other ones. Like, okay, then after this amount of time you send them this, or if they seem to open emails related to social media marketing but not about blogging, send them more social media emails, like that kind of thing. So I think that's the service he's talking about here.
That's
Is that-
segmentation. So that's like Infusionsoft.
Yeah.
If you're selling info products, use Infusionsoft. It is the most advanced and flexible one out there.
Mhm.
Like, we do crazy things where if you click on a buy button but you don't buy, you get put in a different bucket group, and then we send you different stuff.
Yeah, that's okay. I want to look up how much Infusionsoft costs really quick. Okay, so this is a company owned by Keep, Keap, and it starts at $149 a month. It's kind of expensive, honestly, for email segmentation. You can do segmentation in other, you can do customer journey stuff in MailChimp. Again, it's not like the free version of MailChimp, it's a paid version, but I feel like it's going to be less than $150 a month. But
Or if you watch
maybe
the
not.
first 5 minutes of the webinar and you didn't finish the rest, we send you another campaign that it's an email from my assistant. It's all automated.
Yeah, from my imagine me. Yeah. I told you the assistant thing. I think that's what
But
this is.
imagine me emailing a girl named Amy. And the email is to Amy like, hey, Amy, I noticed Chris only watched the first 5 minutes of the webinar and he left. Can you just check in with him to make sure everything's okay with him and his family?
So fake email from Neil to a fake assistant named Amy. So he writes the email, and then Amy forwards that email to this person. Amy, like in quotes, because Amy doesn't exist. This is so gross. I have lightly thought about having a mail assistant, a fake mail assistant, to send some of my customer emails. If you've never read that article about how the man and the woman accidentally switched email signatures for 2 weeks, I'll link to it below and you'll see why I've considered having a mail assistant speak in the same voice as me and maybe get a better reception from people. But anyway, I haven't been able to bring myself to do it because I'm so worried that if my fake mail assistant, someone will be like, oh, Jeremy was so helpful, and Jeremy doesn't exist, and like they're gonna, want to meet him or want to talk to him or something. And then I'll have to get into voice changing and for the phone. And I don't know. It's like, if you start a lie, like, it's like, do you want to keep up with it? And that's kind of where I am with my fake mail assistant. But this whole like fake exchange that is programmed, yeah, that's something I mentioned earlier. And apparently he's doing
Family, I
here.
want to make sure everything's okay and nothing wrong happening. And then the email goes to Chris. It's automatic. It looks like Amy forwarded it to Chris, and the email is like, hey, Chris, Neil wanted me to follow up with you, make sure everything's okay. You can see his note below. That's like a really good way to boost conversions, right?
Yeah, I pretend that I cared about the person, but it's a robot making up an answer, sending to a fake robot assistant. This is so gross. I hope, though, that going over something like this, if you get emails like this, you'll know now that this is all fake, all of it.
So it's all segmented out like that.
Okay, so there's one part of your presentation that I actually kind of wanted to challenge you a little bit on,
Mhm.
if you don't mind.
Yeah, challenge
so
away.
you say you
Yay, challenge away. I already fucking know everything, so.
have to be an expert. Now, you are clearly an expert on marketing, no question whatsoever. But if everyone here has to become an expert in the thing that they're going to sell products on before they sell products, that's going to take a while. I mean, I'm an expert in a couple of things, and it took me about a decade each time. So how expert is expert? Are you talking here? You're just talking, what are you talking?
Well, you need to know it well enough where you can teach other people and they can get value from it. Or if you can't, go hire or partner up with someone who could be the expert or the face of it. I have someone who sells yoga courses and health courses in Brazil. Like, they teach you, if you're pregnant, how to have a better spine. And it's just an info product, right? Or how to be a healthy pregnant person, or how to have less back pain in life. And you know how much they're doing in Brazil? Think about it. Brazil's in one of the worst recessions out there. Right now, they're generating, I kid you not, around $400,000 to $500,000, not reais, a month in profit from Facebook ads. They're like, oh, it's not competitive in Brazil. No one's buying traffic for it. And you know what the guys know about health? Nothing. They just found someone who's into yoga and back pain, and they partnered with them, and they made them create webinars, and they recorded it and scripted it. And they're like, it sells. And they're just killing it because their ad cost to generate that revenue was a bit more than, what's the conversion? It's 3 point something to 1. So like $20,000 to $25,000 USD a month to generate that income. It's pretty good.
Bad. So if you're doing that, would it be basically a case of?
So his whole thing is exploit the work of other people, whether it's their intellectual property, whether it's them being in another country and being able to pay them less money, or whether it's that they're willing to work below market rate on something. Oh, man.
So find your niche, then find your expert?
Yeah, but you want to make sure that whatever expert you find, they can give really good value, because the last thing you want to do is sell someone shit. If you can't be proud of it, why sell it?
It's pretty easy to look into if somebody knows what they're talking about, generally, I think. I think you'd have to know a little bit about the topic to be able to evaluate that, but I don't think you'd have to be a total expert in it to see that this person's all smoke and mirrors or whatever.
That makes sense. Okay, so I think we're going to open up at this point to questions from the audience. So we have a couple of mics down the front here. If you have any questions, we already have someone. You've figured it out. Come to the front.
I might skip this part. I'm going to record it, but if I edit it out of the final video, just know that it either wasn't very interesting or it just further infuriated me for the same reasons.
Hello. Yeah. So actually, I'll ask like 3 questions if you don't mind.
Go for it.
First of all, it was really, really good. I really enjoyed it. A lot of like mind-opening things you said.
Thank you.
First of all, you talked about the 3.6 per 100 registrations. Is that including the follow-up and retargeting, or is that only from the first initial registration?
It's people who showed up to the webinar.
Well, if what I mean by 3.6 is when someone comes to your website and they register for the webinar, I don't remarket them after. They're
Mhm.
just registered, and
They either come or don't.
then I keep selling them through email.
Okay.
So I forwarded to this point because a woman's about to ask a question, and I'd like to see how he relates to a woman. I'll be completely honest with you.
Yep, please come up to the mic.
Can you talk a bit about creating enough value in a product to justify $1,000 price, say like in a fitness niche? something that's-
Sure. Okay, so in the fitness niche, what is that?
So yeah, she's like, hey, feels weird to charge someone $1,000 for this product. How do I know I'm giving enough value so I can charge that price and sleep at night? That's what I would wonder too.
Everyone looking to do? Either get more ripped or lose weight. Would you agree with that?
Right.
Okay. And what's the problem in the fitness niche? What's the biggest problem with losing weight or getting ripped?
That 95% of diets don't work long term, that a lot of weight is genetic or otherwise factors you can't control, that the diet industry is built in such a way that it has to continually churn us out products. So we'll try something, lose weight, gain it back, try another product, lose weight, gain it back. So we're in this vicious cycle where we're fucking up our metabolisms. I mean, those are just a few things I can think of.
What do you mean?
What's the biggest problem? If you want to get ripped or lose weight, what's the biggest problem?
All right, let's see. Genetics, our healthcare system, our food systems here in the US, our capitalist hellscape where we don't have a lot of free time. Those are just four I can think of offhand that are pretty big.
Follow through?
Yes, and
Nope.
it also takes a lot of time.
My God, this kind of talk really fucking triggers me. I think what makes me the most angry about these kind of arguments about weight loss or building muscle is that someone can look at me and make a giant assumption. If you look at someone's body and assume it's from a lack of discipline, that's a you problem.
Yeah.
Right? Have you seen Beachbody P90X and what's the other one? Like they have this 15-minute one that works out in your hotel.
Yeah, I've seen those. They don't charge that much.
Yes, but they make all their money on the back end. So
Right.
when you're in small niches and you want quantity and you have other products, the reason I say charge $9.97 is because most people don't have more products. If you have many products so you can create it, you can create a low-end product in the fitness niche for $100, $200, like a video series or a training course that teaches people how to get more ripped or jacked. Yeah, they're not going to have as much results compared to if they went to the gym for a year. But if they did it in their home and used body weight or whatever it may be and they were healthy about it, I bet you they can get results. They can get results quickly. They're not going to look like Brad Pitt or Drew Canoli, who speaks later on today. The guy's ripped, right?
I've been going to the gym 3 times a week for a year. Been working with a functional trainer. And while I've seen some light changes in my body, it hasn't completely transformed. I haven't had people walk up to me and say, "Oh, wow, Nicole, what have you been doing?" or anything. But I have a lot more energy and, things are shifting and everything. And yeah, like the reality is that if you do a fitness program, you might not get visible results unless you're also willing to change like your eating and do some other things. And I just haven't been willing to do that due to my previous history with eating disorders. So, yeah, I mean, him assuming you're going to get results, I think is a little bit of an assumption. We don't know that until this person creates the program and has a group of people go through it, a beta test group of some sort. And then they can talk about like, hey, we had, this many people 100 people go through this program and they lost on average of 5.6 pounds and, 10 inches off their body doing this program. So I think that sometimes before you sell something, you have to test it with your target market. And he hasn't talked about that at all, which I think is interesting.
But he takes a lot of time and energy and he's good at it and he's passionate, right? But not everyone's going to look like that jack because they're not like me. There's no way I'm going to go and like get ripped. And if I did, I'd probably lose money because I walk in a corporation and they'd be like, you can't be a nerd. You're too jacked, right?
Yeah, and like there's just some body types like Neil Patel looks like he's a naturally lean person, so maybe it's hard for him to build muscle because his frame is naturally lean. Like yeah, we all can expect kind of different results from these different things, right? So we got to keep that in mind when we're marketing to people so that we don't mislead them.
Right? It's funny. That's actually the stereotype. I had a buddy, Tim Sykes, who sells digital products, and he's like, I don't want to work with AJ anymore. He's too buff. And I'm like, doesn't mean he's dumb, but it's just a stereotype. But the point I'm trying to make is you can go and create an info product like that's educational, like a Mike Chang, right? Sell that and then have a lot of upsells and
So
downsells.
is that the best plan, the best idea to start low?
That's correct. Because in your space, you can cast a really wide net. In my space, I can't cast a wide net. When you can cast a wide net and go after tons of people, charge low, and then have multiple products that go up to like $1,000, $2,000, $3,000. In the fitness niche, people will spend thousands of dollars on
So can you
improvement.
give an example of what kind of product would be worth like $3,000 or $1,000?
Yeah, that's like her original question. She's like, how do I know that I'm giving enough value to charge this money?
Sure, I would first start with a low-end product, maybe a video series that teaches people how to work out at home, like busy parents when you have kids, and how to make it entertaining to keep your kids busy at the same time, or like work out with your kids or your family. Then from there, I would sell them other products. You can do upsells and downsells into like protein powder, supplements, whatever it may be. Then from there, I would get into weekly coaching. It could be all automated on Facebook.
Automated coaching on Facebook. Yeah, we can't. Oh, God. This is so gross to act like you're coaching somebody when you're just sending them an automated sequence that you programmed.
And you can give people a login system where like they track their weight, their meals, and you do meal plans for people. And you can charge them.
You got to be real careful, guys. You have to be. In the US, there is some requirements if you're going to do fitness plans or meal plans for people. I believe that you can only do meal plans if you're a registered dietitian or if you're a physician. So whenever these people are on stage having ideas, always look into it with your particular niche because, finance, fitness, nutrition slash food, alcohol. I mean, there's a lot of regulated cannabis. There's a lot of regulated industries out there, and you need to know what you're allowed to do within yours. And people like this guy, he's a generalist. He doesn't know. I have some clients who do hemp products, and so we're launching an affiliate program for them. And I wrote the affiliate agreement, and I said, "Listen, I am not a lawyer. I have just drafted this affiliate agreement. If you want your lawyer or somebody like that to look at this, I would recommend that because I actually don't know the regulations in your industry." And they came back and they said, "Oh yeah, in the agreement you said above 18 years old, and for cannabis has to be above 21. We don't do cannabis, but maybe we should put above 21 and above to be safe." Great. They know their industry and they need to inform themselves about that so that someone like me, marketing, can help them. But if you're not sure about stuff like that, just get really familiar with what the limits are within your niche when you're creating products so that you don't accidentally do something illegal.
Let's say $100 a month for that. And then from there, I would start having products that cost $1,000 to $2,000.
Yes, the products that cost 1,000, 2,000. She asked, how do you know the product is worth 1,000 to 2,000? This is going to be, if she asks again, this will be the third time she's had to ask.
Where you have your own personal trainer or personal coach with you and you do Skype sessions, and you can find people like who are trainers on Craigslist, and you can pay them per hour that they work with these people, and you can just arbitrage it. You can easily charge $1,000 to $2,000 for that.
Yeah, you can take advantage of somebody who spent time in education and you can pay them pennies on the dollar.
I know the Muscle for Life guys, they were starting to charge people a few $1,000 for training sessions over Skype, and it was working really well with them. The biggest problem that they had is they couldn't scale it up fast enough and find enough trainers that they really believed in.
Right. And would you do that marketing mostly through email or?
First, I would get them through
The
Facebook or
upsells?
YouTube, then collect an email, and then either send them to a webinar or instead of collecting an email, have them register for the webinar, which is like an email sign up, right? Same thing. We'll have them
Right,
watch a
right.
webinar, sell them
Yeah, I
more.
mean
and
like
then-
for the upsells afterwards?
Yeah, all through emails
Email.
and on checkout. So you'll notice
Okay,
that if you're
right.
selling a low-end product, you can double to triple your revenue on checkout if you offer 3 upsells / downsells.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
That was fantastic. I might make that product now. Okay, unfortunately, we have run out of time, so I'd just like to thank you very much for that fantastic
No problem.
talk. And
Thank you, everyone, for having me.
Okay. Affiliate World Asia is where this talk was given. Okay, good to know. Well, that was grosser than I thought it would be. I kind of thought watching a longer form presentation from Neil Patel, I'd get a better sense of who he is. I've definitely linked to his blog posts in the past because he has some very detailed tutorials about things with screenshots. And sometimes, like when a client asks for something, they're like, "How do you do this?" the idea of creating that whole tutorial, it's like, oh, well, this already exists, so I'll just link to it. But I think I'm going to hesitate to do that going forward, in particular if he goes after people on his website as hard as he sort of implied on stage there. Because if that's how he's treating his potential customers, I certainly don't want to send my customers there. And listen, I'm sure there's ethical ways to make $100,000 a month. I don't think underpaying someone to create a product for you and then using psychological techniques to trick them into buying it are ways that I feel comfortable making my money. But to each their own, I guess. Yeah. Ugh. Anyway, I'm going to go recover from that. But in the meantime, thanks for watching. Appreciate you being here. If you want to keep in touch, a great way to do that is to join our monthly email newsletter. If you go to that page, you can see past issues of it before you sign up and kind of see if it's your thing. And if you have gurus you want me to react to or a specific video, you can leave it as a comment on this video, or you can send it through the contact form of the website, which is on the screen now. And yeah, I appreciate you being here. And you know, there's all these gurus have very similar techniques, but they do have different approaches and different ways of talking about it. So I think that it's good to continue this conversation. Thanks for watching, because you know, these marketing gurus are just going to keep coming. But the good news is that you've got someone in the marketing industry who's going to call them on their bullshit. Have a great day and see you next time.